The stars looked cold through the viewing screen of the Vrex warship. Captain Day 1 stood with his arms crossed behind his back, watching the dark space ahead. His blue skin glowed softly in the dim light of the bridge. He had been hunting for 3 days now, and finally, his target was close. "Report," he said to his second-in-command. Lieutenant Hana looked up from her station. Her eyes were bright with excitement. "Sir, we have located the human vessel. It's a small cargo ship, just like intelligence said. Only one life sign aboard." Day 1 smiled. His sharp teeth gleamed. "Perfect. A single human. Alone and far from help. This will be easier than expected." The Vrex Empire had been watching humanity for months. These strange creatures had been spreading across the galaxy, claiming worlds and building colonies. At first, the Vrex thought humans might be dangerous, but after studying them from far away, Day 1 and his people had decided humans were weak. Humans had no thick skin like the Vrex. They had no natural weapons. No claws or venom. They were soft and pink and fragile. The Vrex scientists believed that one Vrex warrior could fight 10 humans and win easily. But the Vrex High Command wanted to be sure. They wanted to study a human up close. They wanted to learn everything about these newcomers before deciding what to do with them. That's why Day 1 and his team were out here, hunting. "Prepare the capture nets," Day 1 ordered. "I want that human alive and unharmed." The crew moved quickly. The Vrex warship was fast and powerful. It had weapons that could destroy a planet. But today, they would not use those weapons. Today, they would simply take what they wanted. On his screen, Day 1 could see the human cargo ship. It was small and old, with rust on its hull. The ship moved slowly through space, carrying boxes of supplies to some distant colony. The human inside had no idea what was about to happen. "Target acquired," said the weapons officer. "Ready to fire capture nets on your command." Day 1 raised his hand. "Fire!" Blue energy shot from the Vrex warship. The nets wrapped around the human cargo ship like a spider's web. The small ship's engines stopped immediately. It was trapped, floating helplessly in space. "Excellent," Day 1 said. "Hana, open a channel to the human ship." Hana pressed some buttons. A moment later, a face appeared on the screen. It was a human face. The human had dark hair and brown eyes. He looked young, maybe 30 years old in human time. He wore a simple flight suit with a name patch that said, Tae Young. The human looked at the screen with wide eyes. "What? What do you want?" Day 1 stepped forward. He spoke in the human language, which he had learned for this mission. "Human, you are now a prisoner of the Vrex Empire. Do not resist. Do not try to escape. If you cooperate, you will not be harmed." Tae Young's face went pale. His hands shook a little. "Please," he said, "I'm just a cargo pilot. I don't have anything valuable. Just let me go." "We do not want your cargo," Day 1 said. "We want you." The human's eyes got even wider. "Me? Why me?" "That is not your concern. Prepare to be boarded." Day 1 cut the communication. He turned to his crew. "Send in the boarding team. Remember, the human must not be injured. We need him in perfect condition for study." 10 Vrex soldiers put on their armor and grabbed their weapons. They moved to the airlock and waited. The Vrex warship pulled the human cargo ship close. Metal touched metal with a loud clang. The airlocks connected. "Go," Day 1 ordered. The soldiers rushed into the human ship. Day 1 watched through their helmet cameras. The inside of the cargo ship was messy and small. There were boxes everywhere. The air smelled like oil and old food. The soldiers found Tae Young in the cockpit. The human was standing with his hands up. He was not fighting. He was not trying to run. He just stood there, looking scared. "Please don't hurt me," Tae Young said. His voice shook. "I'll do whatever you want." The lead soldier pointed his weapon at the human. "On your knees." Tae Young dropped to his knees immediately. The soldiers put special restraints on his wrists and ankles. The restraints were designed to hold creatures much stronger than humans, so there was no chance he could break free. Target secured, the lead soldier reported. No resistance. The human is crying. Daewon felt a moment of disappointment. He had expected at least a small fight. But the human was completely helpless. Just as the scientists had predicted, the soldiers brought Tae-young to the Vrex warship. They marched him through the corridors to a holding cell. The human looked around with frightened eyes. He stumbled once, and a soldier had to catch him. "Pathetic," muttered one of the soldiers. They put Tae-young in a cell made of clear energy walls. The human could see out, but he could not escape. The cell had a simple bed, a toilet, and nothing else. Tae-young sat on the bed and put his face in his hands. His shoulders shook. It looked like he was crying again. Daewon watched through the security camera. Hana stood beside him. "He seems very frightened," Hana said. "This was almost too easy. Humans are weak," Daewon said. "Our intelligence was correct. Look at him. He surrendered without firing a single shot. He's crying like a child. This creature is supposed to be a threat to the Vrex Empire?" Hana nodded. "The High Command will be pleased. We have our specimen. Now the real work begins." Daewon sent a message to Vrex headquarters. The message was simple. First, human, captured. Subject is docile and compliant. No complications. Ready to begin study. Within an hour, a reply came back. The High Command was very happy. They ordered Daewon to bring the human to the main research vessel immediately. Scientists were waiting to examine this strange creature from Earth. The Vrex warship turned and began moving deeper into Vrex space. In his cell, Tae-young lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling. He had stopped crying. His face was blank now, emotionless. One of the guards watching the security camera yawned. But if the guard had looked closer, he might have noticed something. Tae-young's eyes were moving. Slowly, carefully, the human was looking at everything. He was studying the walls of his cell. He was watching the guards when they walked past. He was listening to every sound the ship made, and very quietly, so quietly that no one could hear. Tae-young whispered to himself in his own language. "Count the guards. Learn the schedules. Find the weaknesses. Stay calm. They think I'm helpless." Then he closed his eyes and went to sleep. The Vrex had caught their human. They had their prize. They thought they had won. They had no idea what was really happening. The human wasn't their prisoner. They were his. The research vessel was called Dominion's Fist. It was the biggest ship Tae-young had ever seen. When the Vrex warship docked with it, Tae-young looked through the small window of his cell and felt his stomach drop. The research vessel was the size of a small moon. 4 guards came to get him. They put restraints on him again and walked him through long white corridors. Tae-young kept his head down and acted scared. But his eyes were always moving, always watching. He counted the doors. He memorized the turns. He noticed where the guards kept their weapons. He saw the security cameras in the corners. Everything went into his memory. They brought him to a large medical bay. The room was cold and filled with strange machines. A Vrex female stood waiting. She had lighter blue skin than the soldiers, and her eyes were gentler. "I am Dr. Bora," she said in careful human language. "I will be studying you. If you cooperate, this will be painless." Tae-young nodded quickly. "I'll cooperate. Please, don't hurt me." Dr. Bora looked at him with curiosity. "Interesting. You learned to speak our language very quickly. Intelligence reports said humans were good at languages. I just want to go home," Tae-young said. His voice cracked a little. "Perhaps you will," Dr. Bora said. "After we learn what we need to know." She gestured to a table in the center of the room. The guards made Tae-young lie down on it. Metal bands locked around his wrists and ankles. He pulled at them weakly, but they didn't move. Dr. Bora began her examination. She scanned his body with strange devices. She took samples of his blood and hair. She asked him questions about human biology, about Earth, about everything. Tae-young answered all her questions. He seemed helpful and frightened. He told her about Earth's oceans and mountains. He explained how humans needed water and food. He described human cities and families. But he never told her anything important. Nothing about human military. Nothing about human technology. Nothing about how humans really thought or fought. Another Vrex entered the room. This one was male, tall, and thin. He had data tablets in his hands. "I am researcher Jin Ho," he said. "I study behavior. How creatures think and act." Jin Ho watched Tae-young for a long time. He wrote notes on his tablets. "The human shows signs of fear," he said to Dr. Bora. "Elevated heart rate, rapid breathing. But his eyes are very active, very observant. Fear makes creatures alert," Dr. Bora said. "It's natural, perhaps," Jinho said. He didn't sound sure. They kept Tae-young in the medical bay for 6 hours. They ran every test they could think of. Finally, they took him to his new cell. This cell was bigger than the one on the warship. It had a real bed, a small table, and even a window that showed the stars outside. "You will stay here, doctor," Bora said. "3 times a day, someone will bring you food. Once a day, you will have 1 hour of exercise in a larger room. If you need anything, speak to the guards." Tae-young nodded. "Thank you," he said quietly. After Dr. Bora left, Tae-young sat on his bed. He waited until he was sure no one was watching closely. Then, he started exploring his cell. He looked at every corner. He touched every wall. He studied the door lock. He examined the window. And he smiled. The lock was electronic. The window was real glass. The walls were strong, but they had ventilation panels. Everything he saw told him something useful. The next day, the guards brought him breakfast. It was strange alien food, but Tae-young ate it without complaining. When the guards came to take him to exercise, he thanked them politely. The exercise room was large and empty. Tae-young did some stretches and simple exercises. But mostly, he looked around. He counted the security cameras. He noticed that one camera in the corner seemed to flicker sometimes. "You seem very calm today," one guard said. "Yesterday you were crying." Tae-young shrugged. "I was scared yesterday. But you haven't hurt me." The guards laughed. "Smart human. Accept your fate, and things will be easier." Over the next 2 weeks, Tae-young became the perfect prisoner. He answered every question. He never complained. He was polite to everyone. The guards started to relax around him. Some even talked to him during meals. "What's Earth like?" one young guard asked. Tae-young smiled. "Beautiful. We have big oceans and tall mountains. At night, you can see one moon in the sky. One moon. One. Only one moon? That's strange. What about you?" Tae-young asked. "What's your homeworld like?" The guard started talking about his family and his home. Tae-young listened carefully. He learned about Vrex culture. He learned about their military structure. He learned which guards were friendly and which ones were mean. Every piece of information was important. Dr. Bora continued her studies. She was amazed by human biology. "Your healing is remarkable," she told Tae-young one day. "This cut on your arm from the blood sample yesterday is already almost gone." Tae-young looked at the small cut. "Is that unusual?" "For most species, yes. The Vrex take 3 days to heal such a wound. Humans heal in 1 day. We're pretty tough," Tae-young said with a small smile. "Tough?" Dr. Bora looked confused. "But humans seem so fragile." "We seem that way," Tae-young said. "But we survive." Jinho was also learning things. He watched Tae-young through cameras. He noticed patterns. The human has memorized the guard schedules. He told Dr. Bora. He knows when each shift changes. He knows which guards are which. So, Dr. Bora said, prisoners often learn schedules. It gives them comfort. Maybe, Jinho said. But he also asks a lot of questions. About the ship. About our people. About everything. He's curious. Humans are known to be curious. Yes, Jinho said slowly. Curious. But something bothered him. The human was too calm now. Too friendly. 3 weeks ago, Tae-young had been crying and terrified. Now he joked with guards and smiled at scientists. That was a big change. One day, Jinho came to Tae-young's cell alone. Sure, Tae-young said. Why are you so calm now? When you first arrived, you were very afraid. What changed? Tae-young looked at Jinho for a long moment. Then he smiled. I realized something. Being afraid doesn't help. You're going to study me no matter what I do. So I might as well make friends and learn about you too. Learn about us? Why? Why not? Tae-young said. If I'm going to be here a while, I should understand my hosts. Jinho wrote this down. But his hands were shaking a little. Something about the human's smile made him uncomfortable. That night, Jinho went to Captain Daewon. Sir, I think we should be careful with the human. Daewon looked up from his work. Why? He's been completely cooperative. AU. Yes, too cooperative. He's learning too much about us. What can he learn that matters? Daewon said. He's locked in a cell. He has no weapons. He can't even open his own door. You're being paranoid, Jinho. Perhaps, Jinho said. But I recommend we limit his interaction with the guards. And we should change our security codes more often. Daewon sighed. Fine. If it makes you feel better, change the codes. But the human is harmless. Our scientists are learning valuable information. Soon we'll know everything about humanity. Then, the High Command can decide what to do with them. Jinho left, but he wasn't satisfied. That night, he reviewed all the security footage of Tae-young. He watched for hours, and then he saw something that made his blood run cold. In one piece of footage, when Tae-young thought no one was watching, the human's face changed. The fear disappeared. The smile disappeared. For just 5 seconds, Tae-young stared directly at a security camera with cold, calculating eyes. Then the friendly smile came back. Jinho's hands shook as he paused the video. He had seen that look before. It was the look of a predator. A hunter. Not a victim. He tried to tell Dr. Bora the next morning, but she was too busy. Later, Jinho. I have important tests to run. Jinho went back to his office and made a detailed report. But before he could send it to Captain Daewon, something strange happened. The power in his section of the ship flickered. Just for a second, all his files deleted. The report was gone. Jinho stared at his blank screen in horror. That shouldn't be possible. The ship's systems had multiple backups. Files didn't just disappear, unless someone made them disappear. He rushed to Tae-young's cell. The human was lying on his bed, reading a data tablet the guards had given him. He looked up when Jinho arrived. Hello, Jinho, Tae-young said cheerfully. How are you today? Jinho looked at the human's innocent face. What did you do? He whispered. Do? Tae-young tilted his head. I'm just reading. Why? But Jinho saw it again. Just for a moment. That cold look in the human's eyes. And Jinho knew the truth. They weren't studying the human was studying them. And whatever was about to happen, they were not ready for it. Admiral Kyung-soo arrived on the Dominion's fist with great ceremony. He was the highest military commander in the Vrex fleet, and everyone treated him with respect and fear. His uniform was covered in medals. His face was stern and proud. Captain Daewon met him at the docking bay. Admiral, welcome. We are honored by your visit. Show me the human, Kyung-soo said without greeting. The High Command wants to see this creature for themselves. Of course, sir. We have prepared a demonstration in the main observation hall. The human will be brought before you, and the other commanders. They walked through the ship together. Behind them came 10 other high-ranking Vrex officers. They had all come to see the captured human. They wanted to see proof that humanity was weak and easy to defeat. But as they walked, they passed Security Chief Min Seo in the corridor. She looked worried. Captain Day 1, she said. May I have a word? Not now, Min Seo. But sir, it's important. We've been having strange technical problems. Day 1 frowned. What kind of problems? Small things. Tools going missing from maintenance. Security cameras glitching. Some doors opening when they should be locked. And yesterday, several files were deleted from researcher Jin Ho's computer. Have you found the cause? Admiral Kyung-soo asked. Not yet, sir. But it all started about 2 weeks after the human arrived. Kyung-soo laughed. It was not a kind laugh. Are you suggesting a prisoner in a locked cell is causing technical problems throughout this entire ship? Min Seo's face turned darker blue. Fix it then, Kyung-soo said. Don't bother us with minor technical issues. We have important business. Min Seo bowed and left. But Dae-won saw the worry in her eyes. They reached the observation hall. It was a huge room with rows of seats looking down at a central platform. The platform was surrounded by energy fields that could hold even the strongest creatures. Tae-young was already there, standing in the center of the platform. He wore simple gray prisoner clothes. His hands were in restraints. He looked small and alone under the bright lights. The Vrex officers took their seats. There were 20 of them now, all powerful leaders in the Empire. They stared down at the human with curiosity and contempt. Admiral Kyung-soo stood at the front. So this is a human, he said loudly. This is the species that dares to expand into our territory. Tae-young looked up at him but said nothing. I have read the reports, Kyung-soo continued. You have no natural armor, no claws, no poison. You are slow and weak. Your planet is harsh, but that only means you suffer. Not that you are strong. Still, Tae-young said nothing. He just watched. Tell me, human, Kyung-soo said. Why should the Vrex Empire allow your species to exist? What can you possibly offer us? What makes you worth the air you breathe? The room was silent. All eyes were on Tae-young. And then the human smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. It was something else. Something that made several officers shift uncomfortably in their seats. You want to know what makes humans special? Tae-young said. His voice was calm and clear. I'll tell you. Please do, Kyung-soo said mockingly. You're right about one thing, Tae-young said. We don't have armor. We don't have claws. We're not the biggest, or the fastest, or the strongest. But you made one big mistake in your research. What mistake? You thought those things mattered. Kyung-soo frowned. Of course they matter. The strong survive. The weak. No, Tae-young said. The adaptable survive. The intelligent survive. The ones who never give up survive. Pretty words, Kyung-soo said. But you are in a cage. You are alone. Your ship is destroyed. Your people don't even know where you are. You have already lost. Tae-young's smile grew wider. Have I? Something in his voice made Captain Dae-won stand up. What do you mean? Let me tell you what I've learned in the past month, Tae-young said. Your ship has 4,000 crew members. Your security shifts change every 8 hours. Your weapon systems are controlled from Deck 7. Your life support is on Deck 3. Dr. Bora gasped. How do you know that? I asked. Tae-young said simply. Your guards love to talk. They told me everything. So what? Admiral Kyung-soo said. You have useless information. You're still trapped. I also learned that your door locks use a rotating encryption code. Very clever. Except the code system has a flaw. Every 72 hours, there's a 3-second gap when the old code expires and the new code loads. During those 3 seconds, certain doors can be opened if you know the right frequency. Minseo, who had entered the room quietly, went pale. That's classified information. How did you? I watched, Taeyong said. I listened. I learned. That's what humans do. We adapt. We learn. We find the cracks in every system. Guards, Kyung-soo shouted. Take the human back to his cell. This demonstration is over. But before the guards could move, every light in the observation hall went out. Emergency red lights came on. Alarms started blaring throughout the ship. Report! Daewon shouted into his communicator. What's happening? A panicked voice came back. Sir, we have multiple system failures. Weapons are offline. Some doors have opened on their own. And sir, there are ships approaching. What ships? Human ships, sir. A full battle fleet. They just came out of faster-than-light travel. They're surrounding us. The observation hall erupted in chaos. Officers were shouting. Guards were running. But through it all, Taeyong stood calmly in his restraints. Still, smiling. Kyung-soo stared at him in horror. This is impossible. You've been in a cell. You couldn't have. Did you really think you were the only ones watching? Taeyong asked. Did you think my ship didn't have a tracking beacon? A hidden transmitter? We knew you were coming for me. We let you take me. Why? Dr. Bora whispered. Because you thought you were studying us, Taeyong said. But really, I was studying you. For 1 month, I learned everything about your ships, your systems, your weaknesses, and I've been sending that information home every single day. How? Captain Daewon demanded. Your own computers. Your own systems. Every time I asked a guard a question, I was gathering intelligence. Every time Dr. Bora ran a test on me, I was learning about your medical equipment. Every time Jinho watched me on camera, I was mapping your security network. All. The ship shook as something hit it. The human fleet was firing warning shots. And for the past week, Taeyong continued, I've been sabotaging your ship, piece by piece. Nothing big. Nothing obvious. Just tiny changes in your code. Small errors in your systems. All waiting for the right moment to activate. This is an act of war, Kyung-soo screamed. No, Taeyong said coldly. You committed an act of war when you captured me. This is just us coming to get our pilot back. A new voice came over the ship's communication system. It was a female voice, speaking in human language. Vrex vessel. This is Commander Ji Woo of the Human Defense Fleet. You are surrounded by 47 warships. You have 10 minutes to surrender and return our citizen to us. If you refuse, we will board your ship and take him by force. Admiral Kyung-soo looked around wildly. We outnumber them. We have allies. We can fight. Your weapons are offline, Taeyong said. I made sure of that, and I wouldn't try to use them anyway. You see, humans have a rule. A very important rule. What rule? Daewon asked quietly. No one gets left behind, Taeyong said. You took one of ours. Now 47 ships have come to bring me home. If you had taken 10 of us, 1,000 ships would come. That's what makes us strong. Not our bodies, not our weapons, our loyalty, our determination, our refusal to ever give up on each other. The restraints on Taeyong's wrists suddenly clicked open. They fell to the floor. He had unlocked them himself somehow. Guards raised their weapons, but Taeyong didn't run. He just stood there, free, in the middle of the platform. You have 9 minutes, he said. I suggest you make the right choice. Minseo was typing frantically on her datapad. Captain, he's right. Our weapon systems are completely disabled. Life support is failing on decks 5 through 9. Engine control is compromised. If we fight, we'll lose. This is humiliating, Kyung-soo hissed. This is survival, Tae-young said. You wanted to know what makes humans special? This is it. We're not the biggest predators in the galaxy, but we're the smartest. We're the most patient. And we're the ones who will do anything, risk anything, sacrifice anything, for our own people. The ship shook again. Harder this time. 7 minutes, Commander Ji-woo's voice said over the speakers. Captain Dae-won looked at Admiral Kyung-soo. The Admiral's face was twisted with rage and shame. But slowly, he nodded. Open a channel, Dae-won said quietly. This is Captain Dae-won of the Dominion's Fist. We surrender. We will return your citizen. Smart choice, Ji-woo said. Prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will be met with overwhelming force. Tae-young walked calmly toward the door. The guards stepped back, afraid to touch him now. As he passed Dr. Bora, he stopped. Thank you for being kind to me, he said. You're a good person. I hope you'll be okay. What happens now? She asked. That depends on your leaders, Tae-young said. If they're smart, they'll make peace. If they're not, then you'll learn what humans are really like when we're angry. He left the observation hall. Behind him, the Vrex officers sat in stunned silence. They had thought they were the hunters, but all along, they had been the prey. The human Marines came through the airlock like a storm. They moved fast and smooth, their armor black and covered with weapons. Each one knew exactly where to go and what to do. They had practiced this rescue 100 times. Captain Dae-won watched them from the bridge. His hands were shaking. These humans didn't look weak now. They looked terrifying. All Vrex personnel, stay where you are, Commander Ji-woo's voice echoed through the ship. Do not touch your weapons. Do not move toward any control stations. Any hostile action will be considered an attack, and you will be eliminated. On the bridge, Min Seo put her hands up slowly. Captain, what should we do? Nothing, Dae-won said bitterly. We do nothing. We've already lost. The human Marines swept through the ship deck by deck. They moved like they owned the place. And, in a way, they did. Tae-young had given them complete maps of the entire vessel. They knew where every Vrex crew member was. They knew where all the weapons were stored. They knew everything. Tae-young met them on deck 4. The lead Marine, a tall woman with short black hair, lowered her weapon when she saw him. Tae-young, she said. I'm fine, Lieutenant Hae-jin, he said with a tired smile. Just ready to go home. Hae-jin touched his shoulder briefly. You did good work. Command is very impressed with the intelligence you gathered. Just doing my job, 2 more Marines came running up. One was young, barely 20 years old. His name was Private Dong-hyun, and his eyes were wet with tears. Tae-young, we thought they might have hurt you. Takes more than the Vrex to hurt me, Tae-young said. The private nodded and wiped his eyes. Sir, another Marine said to Hae-jin, we've secured decks 1 through 6. No resistance. The Vrex are just standing there. Good. Continue to deck 7. Secure their weapons control room. I want every gun on this ship permanently disabled. Yes, ma'am. On the bridge, Admiral Kyung-soo was turning purple with rage. This is an outrage. We surrendered. They can't just take over our ship. Commander Ji-woo's face appeared on the main screen. She was a woman in her 40s with gray in her hair and cold eyes. Actually, Admiral, we can. You attacked and kidnapped a human civilian. That's an act of war. We are well within our rights to capture your vessel and arrest your entire crew. We were only studying him. You imprisoned him, Ji-woo said. Against his will. You treated him like a lab animal. Did you ask his permission? Did you offer to negotiate? Kyung-soo said nothing. That's what I thought, Ji-woo said. You saw a lone human, and thought he was easy prey. You were wrong. What are you going to do with us? Captain Day One asked. Jiwoo looked at him for a long moment. That depends on you. Right now, my orders are to retrieve our citizen and destroy your ship as a warning to others. But I can change those orders if you cooperate fully. Destroy the ship? Dr. Bora gasped. She had been brought to the bridge with the other senior officers. We'd evacuate you first, Jiwoo said. We're not monsters, but this ship captured one of our people. It deserves to be scrap metal. Please, Daewon said. Many of these crew members did nothing wrong. They were just following orders. Following orders, Jiwoo repeated. That's what they all say. Tae-young's voice suddenly came through the communications system. Commander, this is Tae-young. May I make a suggestion? Go ahead. Most of the crew treated me well. They were professional, even kind. Sometimes. Only a few were cruel. Dr. Bora especially tried to make sure I wasn't hurt during the examinations. Jiwoo nodded slowly. I see. Very well. Here's what's going to happen. Admiral Kyung-soo, Captain Dae-won, and anyone else who gave orders for this capture mission will be taken into custody. They'll be tried for their crimes. Crimes? Kyung-soo sputtered. We are Vrex. You can't try us. Watch us, Jiwoo said coldly. The rest of the crew will be released, but this ship will be permanently disabled. You'll be towed back to the nearest Vrex station, and you'll deliver a message for us. What message? Daewon asked. That humanity is not to be touched. Ever. We don't want war with the Vrex Empire. But if you take even one more human, there will be war. And you will lose. One. The human Marines continued their work. On Deck 7, they found the weapons control room. A team of human engineers came in and started dismantling everything. What are you doing? A Vrex technician asked. Making sure you can't shoot anyone. One engineer said cheerfully. Don't worry. We're not breaking anything permanently. We're just taking all the important parts with us. You can fix it later if you want. But it'll take you months. Do. On Deck 12, more engineers were working on the engines. They were installing something new into the ship's computer system. What's that? Security, Chief Minseo asked. She had been escorted to the engine room by Marines. A gift, the lead engineer said. A program that will monitor this ship. If it ever comes within 1 light year of human space, alarms will go off. We'll know immediately. Think of it as a tracking device. You're putting spyware in our ship? Yes. And you won't be able to remove it without tearing apart your entire computer network, which would disable your ship completely. So I suggest you just leave it there. Minseo felt sick. The humans had taken complete control, and they had done it so efficiently, so professionally. These weren't the weak creatures the Vrex had expected. These were trained soldiers who knew exactly what they were doing. Down in the medical bay, Tae-young found Dr. Bora. She was sitting alone, looking small and scared. Dr. Bora, he said gently. She looked up with wet eyes. Are they going to kill us? No. You're going to be fine. I promise. I tried to be kind to you, she whispered. I didn't want to hurt you. I know, Tae-young said. That's why I told Commander Ji-woo to be merciful. You were just doing your job. You weren't cruel, but I still participated. I still kept you prisoner. Tae-young sat down next to her. War makes people do things they don't want to do. You were following orders. I understand that. But Dr. Bora, you need to tell your leaders something for me. What? What? Tell them that humans don't forgive easily, but we do forgive eventually. Tell them that if the Vrex leave us alone, we'll leave them alone. We don't want to conquer you. We don't want to destroy you. We just want to be left in peace. And if we don't leave you alone, Tae-young's face became hard. Then we'll show you what humans are really capable of. What you've seen today is us being gentle. You really don't want to see us when we're serious. Dr. Bora nodded slowly. I'll tell them, I promise. 4 hours later, the human fleet prepared to leave. They had taken everything they needed from the Dominion's fist. The ship's weapons were disabled. The engines were hobbled. All important data had been copied. And Admiral Kyung-soo, Captain Day 1, and 15 other senior officers were now in human custody. Tae-young stood in the docking bay of Commander Ji-woo's flagship. He looked back at the Vrex research vessel one last time. Are you okay? Ji-woo asked him. Yeah, Tae-young said. It was just a month. I've been through worse. You did an incredible job. The intelligence you gathered will be invaluable. You helped us understand the Vrex better than years of spying could have. I just did what I was trained to do. Ji-woo smiled. You're more than just a cargo pilot, aren't you? Tae-young smiled back. Maybe. But that's classified. They boarded the human flagship and left the Dominion's fist floating in space. The Vrex crew watched the human ships jump to faster-than-light speed and disappear. On the bridge, Security Chief Min Seo stood looking at the empty space where the human fleet had been. Researcher Jin Ho came to stand beside her. I tried to warn them, Jin Ho said quietly. I saw that the human was dangerous, but no one listened. What do we do now? Min Seo asked. We go home. We report what happened, and we pray that the Vrex High Command is smart enough to leave the humans alone. Do you think they will be? Jin-ho thought about Tae-young's cold eyes. He thought about how easily the humans had taken control. He thought about the 47 warships that had come for just one pilot. I hope so, he said. Because if they're not smart enough, the Vrex Empire is going to learn a very painful lesson. Across the ship, Dr. Bora sat in her laboratory. She was writing a detailed report about everything she had learned. Not just about human biology, but about human nature. She wrote, Humans are not physically superior, but they are mentally superior. They are patient. They are clever. They are loyal beyond reason. And they never, ever give up. We made a terrible mistake by capturing one of them. We must never make that mistake again. In the empty observation hall, a janitor was cleaning up. He found something on the floor near the platform where Tae-young had stood. It was a small piece of paper with human writing on it. The janitor couldn't read human language. But if he could have, he would have read, To whoever finds this, you had 1 month to study me. I only needed 1 month to study you. We're even now. But if there's a next time, you won't get a month. You'll get minutes. Choose peace. 100 Sauf. 80 us. The janitor threw the paper away and continued cleaning. But the message remained true. The Vrex had learned a lesson. The question was whether they would remember it. 6 months had passed since the capture of Tae-young. 6 months since the human fleet had surrounded the Dominion's fist and shown the Vrex what real power looked like. Those 6 months had not been kind to the Vrex Empire. Empress Yeonhee sat on her throne in the Imperial Palace, looking at reports from across her territory. Every report told the same story. Defeat after defeat, loss after loss. The humans had not invaded. They had not attacked Vrex cities or killed Vrex civilians. But they had destroyed every Vrex military ship that came near human space. They had disabled Vrex stations near the border. They had made it very clear that the Vrex Empire was no longer welcome in that region of the galaxy. Worse, other species had noticed. Species that the Vrex had bullied for years were now rising up. If the mighty Vrex Empire could be humiliated by humans, then maybe the Vrex weren't so mighty after all. The Empire was falling apart. Your Majesty, her advisor said quietly. The human ambassador has arrived. Send him in, Yeonhee said. She kept her voice strong, but inside, she felt afraid. Ambassador Sung Min entered the throne room. He was an older human, maybe 60 years old, with gray hair and calm eyes. He walked with confidence, but not arrogance. Behind him came 2 guards, but they kept their weapons lowered. Empress Yonhee, Sungmin said with a small bow. Thank you for agreeing to meet with me. I had little choice, Yonhee said. Your fleet controls 6 of my systems now. We don't control them, Sungmin said. We're simply making sure your military stays away from our borders. The civilians in those systems are free to come and go as they please. My people are starving in some of those systems. You've cut off supply lines. We've cut off military supply lines, Sungmin corrected. Civilian ships carrying food and medicine are allowed through. We've made that very clear. It was true. Yonhee knew it was true. The humans weren't monsters. They weren't killing Vrex civilians. They were only stopping the Vrex military. But that made it worse somehow. It showed that the humans were in complete control. They could choose to be cruel, but they weren't. That showed strength. Why are you here, Ambassador? Yonhee asked. To offer peace, Sungmin said simply. Peace? Yes. My terms. Sungmin pulled out a datapad and placed it on a table near the throne. These are humanity's requirements for ending this conflict. The 20 Pribe. Yonhee picked up the pad and read. As she read, her face showed her emotions. Shock, anger, and finally, resignation. You want us to withdraw from all systems within 20 light-years of human space, she said. Yes. You want us to pay reparations for the capture of Taeyong. Yes. You want us to sign a treaty promising never to attack or capture any human again. Yes. And you want us to return all prisoners of war, of any species, that we currently hold. Yes. That last one is important to us. We don't like slavers. We are not slavers. Yonhee's voice rose. Prisoners of war are not slaves. Then you won't mind releasing them. Sungmin said calmly. Yonhee wanted to argue. She wanted to refuse, but she couldn't. She had no power here. The human fleet could destroy her entire military if they wanted to. They had proven that, over and over. And if I refuse? She asked quietly. Then, the war continues. More Vrex ships will be destroyed. More systems will fall under human patrol. Eventually, your empire will collapse completely. Other species will sense weakness and attack. You'll be fighting wars on every front. So this is blackmail? No, Sungmin said. This is reality. You attacked us. You captured our citizen. You studied him like an animal. Did you really think there would be no consequences? Before Yonhee could respond, the door opened again. 2 more people entered. One was Dr. Bora, looking thin and tired. The other was Taeyong himself. Yonhee stared. Why is he here? Because I asked to be here, Taeyong said. He walked forward until he stood next to Ambassador Sungmin. Your Majesty, I have something to tell you. You've already won. I want you to understand, Taeyong said. I'm not here for revenge. I don't hate you or your people. Then why wage war against us? Because you needed to learn a lesson. And lessons are sometimes painful. Dr. Bora stepped forward. Your Majesty, may I speak? Yonhee looked at her in surprise. Dr. Bora had been released after the capture of the Dominion's fist. She had been questioned, but not punished. Yonhee had thought Bora would be angry at the humans, but Bora looked at Taeyong with something like respect. Your Majesty, Dr. Bora said. I studied Taeyong for a month. I learned much about human biology, but I learned more about human nature. Tell me, humans come from a planet called Earth. It's a death world. The gravity is strong. The weather is violent. The animals are dangerous. Humans evolved in constant danger. They learned to adapt to anything. They learned to work together. They learned to never give up. Many species come from harsh worlds, Yonhee said. Not like Earth. Dr. Bora said. On Earth, humans had to compete with creatures bigger and stronger than them. They had to survive ice ages and droughts and diseases. They had to learn to think and plan and work together just to stay alive. And that made them something special. She looked at Taeyong. I examined his body. Physically, humans are average, but their minds are incredible. They can learn almost anything. They can adapt to almost any situation. And they never, ever surrender. She's right, Taeyong said. Do you know why 47 warships came for me? Why humanity spent enormous resources to rescue one cargo pilot? Because you're valuable? No, because I'm human. And humans don't leave each other behind. Ever. If you had captured 1,000 of us, 1,000 ships would have come. If you had captured 1,000,000, we would have brought every ship we had. He stepped closer to the throne. That's what you don't understand. That's what you need to learn. Humans don't calculate worth by strength or size or even intelligence. We calculate worth by one simple fact. If you're human, you're family. And we protect our family. Ambassador Sung Min nodded. This war has been costly for both sides. We don't want it to continue, but it will continue until you accept our terms. And if we accept? Yeonhee asked. What then? Then we become neighbors? Sung Min said. Not friends, perhaps. Not yet. But neighbors. We'll trade. We'll talk. We'll coexist. In time, maybe we'll even become allies. Why would you want that? After what we did? Because humans believe in second chances, Taeyong said. You made a mistake. A big one. But we're willing to move past it if you are. Yeonhee looked at the datapad again. The terms were harsh, but fair. Humans weren't asking for Vrex worlds. They weren't demanding subjugation. They just wanted safety and compensation. If I sign this, she said slowly, will you truly leave us in peace? Yes, Sungmin said. We have no interest in conquest. We just want to live our lives without fear of being captured and studied. And the other species? The ones who are rebelling against us? That's your problem, Sungmin said. We won't interfere in your internal affairs. But I'll give you some free advice. Treat them better. Species that are respected don't rebel. Species that are oppressed always do eventually. Yeonhee sat in silence for a long time. Everyone waited. Finally, she picked up a stylus and signed the document on the datapad. There, she said. It's done. We accept your terms. Thank you. Sungmin said. He bowed slightly. This is the beginning of a better future. I hope you're right, Yeonhee said. She looked at Taeyong. I have one question for you. Yes? Did you plan all of this? From the beginning? Taeyong smiled. Some of it. I knew someone might try to capture a human eventually. We had plans in place. Protocols. I was carrying a tracking beacon that your scanners couldn't detect. When you captured me, I activated it. Then I just had to survive and gather information until help arrived. You used yourself as bait. I volunteered, Taeyong said. Someone had to show the galaxy what happens when you cage a human. Better it be someone trained for it. So, you're not just a cargo pilot. I'm whatever humanity needs me to be. Dr. Bora smiled slightly. I knew there was something different about you. The way you observed everything. The way you learned so quickly. You were military, weren't you? Was, Taeyong said. Now I'm retired. Or, I was until you captured me. Now I'm back in service for a little while longer. Will you go back to flying cargo? Dr. Bora asked. Maybe. Haven't decided yet. This whole experience made me realize I kind of missed the excitement. Ambassador Sung Min collected the signed document. We'll withdraw our fleets from your systems within the week. The treaty will be ratified by our government within a month. Empress Yeonhee. I hope this is the last time we meet under such circumstances. As do I, Yeonhee said. The humans left. Dr. Bora bowed to the Empress and left as well. She had her own report to deliver to the Vrex Science Council. Yeonhee sat alone on her throne. She thought about everything that had happened. About how the mighty Vrex Empire had been humbled by a species they had thought was weak. Her advisor approached. "Your Majesty, was signing the treaty wise?" "It was necessary," Yonhee said. "We gambled, and we lost. Now we must live with the consequences. The other species will see this as weakness. Let them. Perhaps it's time we learn to coexist, rather than dominate. A strange lesson to learn from humans." "Yes," Yonhee said. "Strange indeed." Far away, on a human ship returning home, Taeyong sat in the mess hall, eating real human food for the first time in 6 months. Around him, other soldiers laughed and talked. They were celebrating the end of the conflict. Commander Ji-woo sat down next to him. "How are you feeling?" "Tired," Taeyong admitted. "But good. It's over. You did well. You've been recommended for a medal." "I don't want a medal. I just want to go home and sleep for a week." Ji-woo smiled. "Fair enough. You've earned it." "Do you think they learned their lesson?" Taeyong asked. "The Vrex? Maybe. Time will tell. But word will spread. Other species will hear what happened. They'll think twice before touching a human." That was the point. Yes, that was the point. Taeyong looked out the window at the stars rushing past. Somewhere out there was Earth. Home. He'd see it soon. "Commander," he said, "do you ever think about the ones we captured? Kyungsoo, and Day One, and the others? They're in prison awaiting trial. Why? I hope they understand why we did this. I hope they tell others. Because I meant what I said. We don't want war. We just want to be left alone." "I think they understand now," Ji-woo said. "The hard way. But they understand." And across the galaxy, in prison cells on a human military station, Admiral Kyungsoo and Captain Day One did understand. They had hunted a human thinking he was prey. They had captured him thinking he was helpless. They had studied him thinking he was weak. And they had learned the hardest lesson of all. Humanity was not a species to underestimate. The first human they captured was also the last one they ever laid eyes on. Because now, the entire galaxy knew. You don't cage a human. You don't hunt a human. You don't challenge humanity. Not unless you're prepared to face the consequences. And the Vrex Empire had learned those consequences well. The message spread across the stars, whispered in 1,000 languages on 1,000 worlds. The humans are coming. The humans are growing. The humans are not to be touched. They smile and they trade, and they seem so friendly. But underneath that smile is iron. And that iron will break anyone who threatens them. Leave them alone. Or learn what they learned. The hard way.